See, the Hitler, all of them was under him, under dealing with this. They know the deal. They knew the deal. And last but not least, I want to show you this. I love this picture. Here's a picture of George Washington, and in the back, Whipple with the turban and feather. Exactly like Noble Drew Ali, with the turban and feather. It's as if, like, this is Noble Drew Ali back then, saying, I'm seeing what you're doing, George, because I'm going to come back later at a later time to say, remember that tree you chopped down? And remember that flag you put into the vault? Because you see pictures of Noble Drew Ali with the exact same thing, turban and feather. Now, who's Prince Whipple? Where did Prince Whipple come in? Why is George Washington here? In the background is somebody named Prince Whipple. They don't even get into who he is. Who's this Prince Whipple back here? He's a protege. Turban. I mean, they say a picture's worth $1. The truth is out there. It's out there. Here is, this is some maps. And this map here shows Atlantis and Mu. Here's North America. And they say that when you go through the Straits of Gibraltar, the Pillars of Hercules, there's an island, a series of smaller islands, and a whole continent, which is North, South, and Central America. What sunk, or what was destroyed, was actually the island of Atlantis. And this wasn't no 10,000, 20,000 years ago. This was in much more recent times. I'm talking about as recent as 1500 BC. 1500, not 15,000, 1500 BC, and this was dealing with the so-called floods in the Bible, Exodus, the cataclysms, worldwide cataclysms that was taking place. This is also the time when Sahara Desert became desert. This is in recent times dealing with the breakup of this particular empire here, and it was based on worldwide cataclysms. And here you see Mu or Lemuria in the Pacific Ocean. All one thing. They'll tell you that, and their scientists, their geologists will tell you that, because you can see how America and Africa fit together like a puzzle. I even went so far as one day to cut out this edge on the map and cut out this edge of the map and bring the two together. And they fit together perfectly, except for there's a space right in the middle where Atlantis would have been at. And their scientists will tell you that, oh, them continents, they separated millions and millions and millions of years ago. There was no humans around at that time. We're talking about these things taking place as recently, the last of these things taking place as recently as 1500 BC. Their scientists would love you to have you to believe this whole gradual evolution, the continents separating 1 inch per year type of thing. We're talking about major catastrophes that took place. And I'm going to get into this at a later date. I want to do a lecture on just showing you how the actual foundations of this whole European world order has been totally destroyed already by their own scholars. But these scholars, they put in the background because they don't want you to know about them. And one of them name is Immanuel Velikovsky. And I want to talk more about him. But he gets to this whole cataclysmic thing about this planet and the different cataclysms that took place as recently dealing with the planet Venus. We think planet Venus has always been there. Planet Venus was a comet that at one point came so close to Earth, it caused the destructions that took place, and then it settled in the orbit that we now see as Venus. And this was symbolized as Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, the flying fiery serpent was symbolized in Venus when it came very close to the Earth. And different things in the Bible and Exodus about the plagues and all this stuff mentioned in the Bible confirm this cataclysm that took place. But I'm going to save that for another lecture. Here we have another map, because the elders always taught us that all the original places, Egypt, all of them was original places and place names of places over here, and was at a later date transferred overseas to confuse us, because when the European came to power, what he did was change up chronology and geography, or the time-space coordinates to disorientate us. So we don't know where we at. Here's an old map of America, showing old names, and here you have Tripoli, Morocco, Tunis, Turkey, Atlantis, Egypt, Patmos, the Globe Theater, which was tied in with Shakespeare's Globe Theater, Francis Bacon and all of them, Moab, the Moabites, Cairo, Illinois, because where that part of the Nile or the Mississippi comes, they call that whole region Little Egypt. And you have a place there right there called Cairo. Mecca, Yucatan, Lebanon, all these are place names that's still here to this day. This is off an old postcard. Some brother or sister came up to me on 125th Street and just handed it to me. A lot of stuff just comes from many diverse sources. And with regards to the word of Mexum, or what we use a Mexum, this is the old, what they call Portolano map. And here you see it says, it's hard to see, but it says North America or Mex. Because the word Mexico came from the word Amexum. And the word Mex is up here, nowhere near what we call Mexico, which means that North America or Mex, Amexum. That's what we refer to it as, Amexum. And here's just some other things that I threw in here. This is a picture of George Washington Carver. He was one of the greatest scientists known on the planet. He was a master alchemist. This man, get to know him better, because this man was a master. He was one of the Europeans referred to him as the Egyptian pharaoh. He was a master, and you always see him with this rose right here. The original Rose Croix, Rosicrucian. He was a master. The things he done, yeah, my brother.
That brother really talked about in a book called The Secret Life of Plants.
Yes, indeed, brother. Man, I mean, people think that he just took the peanut and was just, breaking it down. I mean, just mixing, making different stuff out of it. He was breaking the whole molecular structure down of the peanut and then rearranging it molecularly. In other words, making it into wires, fibers, plastics. I mean, he took something that grew, we call them goobers. They grew so much where we came from in the South and so on and so forth. He said, well, let's take something that we have. He was able to put together a whole 5-course meal with drinks, dessert, everything just from the peanut.
Yeah, is this the synthetic stuff coming from?
Exactly. You hear about all the synthetic stuff, like where they make synthetic flavors and all the stuff like this. All that came from him. Taking the plant. I mean, see, I always thought that he was just taking a plant and mashing it up and maybe just, making stuff out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just mashing it up. I didn't know the brother was actually breaking down the molecular structure of the peanut and then reorganizing the molecular structure. I mean, that's a whole... I mean, he was dealing with stuff, man. This man was a genius. He was one of the greatest scientists that ever lived, period. I also threw this into the mix. And I've got to leave some time for questions, so I'm just hitting you with a couple of things here and there. This is taken from a pamphlet that I published called the Ben Ishmael Tribe. The hidden history of the Moors who later led to the rise of Garvey, the Nation of Islam, and Moorish science. Here's a group of so-called Indians, all, as the white man was taking over the eastern seaboard, they all packed up to go further west, and they referred to themselves as the Ben Ishmael Tribe, led by a man named Ben Ishmael. Now, why would a group of Indians call themselves the Ben Ishmael Tribe? And why, when they go to Indiana, Illinois, why would they set up a migration pattern shaped like our Great Seal, and they called the cities that they migrated from Mecca, Morocco, and Muhammad? This is supposed to be Indians, so-called Delaware Indians in them. Why would they call themselves Ben Ishmael and set up such a migration pattern shaped just like our seal? And then it goes in there because these were the first ones they actually practiced and perfected genocide on. And it was later studied by Hitler. And it almost sounded like the Republican Party. I came across this right when the Republicans came in office, and they talked about how we're going to cut them off for public assistance. The men we're going to lock up in the prisons, which was the first prison systems that was built to lock them up. We're going to put the women in shelters and reformatories and put their kids in orphanages. I said, man, this is a Republican Party platform. Which means they actually was implementing something that was perfected on us a long time ago. It was so successful that they finally broke up the Ben Ishmael Tribe, and they went to the cities of Chicago and Detroit, and later became some of the key founders of the Garvey movement and the Moorish Science Temple. So this is the root of the root. It goes even further back. And like I said, this is so-called Delaware Indians, a collection of different tribes who was displaced on the eastern seaboard, got together and migrated west and called themselves the Ben Ishmael Tribe. And there's another pamphlet I published called the Nanticoke Moor Folk Medicines, talking about how the Nanticotes and the Delawares refer to themselves as Moors. To this day, refer to themselves as Moors. And the Europeans say, well, why are they calling themselves Moors? To this day. There's so much about this history that we walking daily on the land of our ancestors, don't even realize it. We're looking towards Africa, all this, giving up all this right here. And people think Garvey wasn't talking about all of us going back to Africa. He was talking about the scientists and engineers going there because